I thought I'd do my Richard Burton impression, only I'm going to use the actual words as written or as published by H.G. Wells rather than the Jeff Wayne version for his album, which was a slightly shorter and more concise and actually in many ways easier to digest. But this is the original text, and there's a reason for this, just bear with me. No one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that this world was being watched keenly and closely by intelligences greater than man's, and yet as mortal as his own. That as men busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacency, men went to and fro over this globe about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their empire over matter. It is possible that the infusoria under the microscope do the same. No one gave a thought to the other older worlds of space as sources of human danger, or thought of them only to dismiss the idea of life upon them as impossible or improbable. It is curious to recall some of the mental habits of those departed days. At most, terrestrial men fancied there might be other men upon Mars, perhaps inferior to themselves and ready to welcome a missionary enterprise. Yet, across the gulf of space, minds that are to our minds as ours are to those of the beasts that perish, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic, regarded this earth with envious eyes and slowly and surely drew their plans against us. And early in the 20th century came the Great Disillusionment. Not as good as Richard Burton, but it's a good attempt. Anyway, my point of reading that was I was watching an episode of Redacted. I don't know if you know that. It's an American chap and his wife, and they do a thing about the stories about what's going on. Very, very good. I'll leave a link in the description. And the reason I mention it is because they had a chap on their show who was an ex-FBI bloke, and he was sort of spilling the beans. He was spilling the beans about some of the stuff that's been going on. I thought it was really fascinating. Now, I can't tell you how true any of this is. And I mean, we all have to take everything you see on the internet with a certain pinch of salt, as you do with mainstream media, or indeed as the government tells you. In fact, you probably need a great salt cellar when it comes to the government, but that's another story. The point being is this FBI agent had said that referencing these UFOs that you may have heard about in the news. First there were these big balloons, spy balloons that they thought were from the Chinese, and then there were these weird silver objects flying about. And we've always had UFOs, and now they've changed the name from UFO to something else. I can't remember what it is, another little anachronism for flying something, unidentified flying something or other. But anyway, the point being, he said that they were ramping up this. Now, I don't know who the they is, but we'll come to that in a minute. They were going to ramp up this illusion, the great disillusion, as H.G. Wells talks about these UFOs coming around in the sky. They've apparently shot a few down, but they don't know where they are or something like that. And then he said what's going to happen next is that these UFOs, it's all been planned, you see, so Howie knows about it, but the UFOs are going to come again and they're going to shoot down a commercial airliner, you know, packed with people going on holiday or a business trip or something like that, minding their own business, going in an aeroplane and to be shot down, which if that doesn't put the hackles up on the back of your head, then I don't know what will. Now, I can't say whether this is true or not, whether this is just rumour, a pack of lies, already something that's actually planned and likely to happen. But you're hearing it now, and if it does happen, you'll know then it couldn't possibly have been by the aliens, because I'm not in direct contact with them. I don't have a little beam me up, Scotty, can you tell me what the aliens are doing this week type of thing. No. So the FBI chap said that he said it was to do with wasn't any government, it was these are man-made craft. He already knows what they are. They are man-made craft like drones, but a bit more advanced technology so that they can move, you know, very rapidly up and down, reasonably large, although they have different sizes apparently. And so it's a bit of a strange myth, you know, the pilots will see them going, what was that? What was that? You know, now a lot of people are flying ordinary drones just to do photography and stuff. So it can be a bit sort of, you know, less of a UFO type thing. Anyway, the point being, he said that these aren't made by any government, although government agencies or somewhere have had a bit of a hand in it, but they're going to be operated by the deep state or the cabal or they, you know, the people who are sort of making our lives a complete and utter misery at the moment and putting in fear. And so the idea is to ramp up the fear so much so that we'll have an aeroplane potentially, or it might be a fighter jet or something, shot down. And the shock wave will go around the globe. Oh my giddy aunt, we've got aliens coming. Real life aliens. I mean, the thing is, I know that you lot watching this are hyper intelligent and will be thinking, oh, here we go, more fear factor. Yes, but there will be members of the public. We know that unfortunately there are some members of the public who do not seem to engage their cerebral powers quite as much as you and I. And they may actually believe this, you know, and some people, and I've seen it, actually think that the moon is made of cheese. And so they will think, oh my giddy aunt, blimey, look at that, there's aliens, oh no. And then, of course, the government will fall in line with all of this, because the government these days are sort of, you know, marionettes, aren't they? Let's face it. You can almost hear the Thunderbird music. Dun, da, da, dun, da, da, dun, dun, F-A-B, F-A-B. Unfortunately, we don't have Thunderbirds in real life to go up and actually deal with the UFOs, or the so-called UFOs, the man-made UFOs, the pretend ones, the fake flag. But anyway, the government will no doubt go, oops-a-daisy, there they are. Oh, blimey. What are we going to do? I tell you what, we better have martial law and tell everybody to stay inside because there's UFOs flying about. Why? Why? Because it's another mechanism to control people, to make them get in line. They don't want people to be having free thinking, critical thinking, being alert for themselves and actually going, what, UFOs? Why would they come now of all times? Now when there's war in Ukraine and things like that. Now when we've had this medical procedure shoved in. Now when it's absolutely essential that we kind of control people and get them into digital IDs and 15-minute cities and net zero. Why are they coming now? Is it just another little bit of confusion, another bit of a distraction, another bit of fear-mongering? Could be. Yeah, sounds most probable that that's exactly what it is. Really and truly, what we really need is real UFOs, you know, proper aliens, the type of aliens that H.G. Wells was writing about in his mythological world, to come along and look at these silly man-made drones that are flying about and doing all this and go, for goodness sake, what is this planet playing at? And not only get rid of those, but also send a massive great big bolt of lightning down onto the deep state or the cabal or the they, whoever it is, and say, oi, stop mucking about with mankind, you lot. You are causing us chaos and mayhem and we don't like it. That's what we want. Or a godlike figure. You know, now I'm not a religious person and I respect that there are people out there who are of a religious persuasion, and they do write to me and they say, oh, you know, revelations, whatever that means. And they quote bits from the Bible and it's all very nice and thank you very much for doing that. So maybe what we need is that godlike character, you know, to be looking down and going, poor old mankind. They're being abused by these horrible, rather nasty people, these evil people. Maybe I should do something. Maybe we should get the Monty Python Flying Circus foot. You know, in the beginning of Monty Python's Flying Circus, and down comes the. Maybe that's the godlike character could just actually do that to the deep state, the cabal, the they, whoever, you know, whoever these people are, these mythological sort of beings who want to play God and deal nasty stuff to our lives. Maybe we could do that. Of course, we saw the other day, I mentioned it in my monologue now, that the government, the benevolent government, the caring government, the government that likes us so much and is so worried about us that they spend hours at night by their little candlelight dinners wringing their hands and going, oh, blimey, what can we do for the poor people of this country? The benevolent government in the UK are going to be sending out, as I said, these emergency alerts to phones everywhere, and the phone will rattle and ring and it'll topple up about like this and it will go, oi, oi, pay attention, there is some terrible news. And you'll go, oh, my giddy aunt, what's going on now? I've turned mine off. There is a way of turning off the emergency alerts. Just look online if you don't want to be bothered by all this smoke and mirrors, all this absolute terrible travesty. You know, I mean, again, the idea of this, they'll probably say, oh, UFO alert, yeah, or there's a flood, or, you know, Mrs. Miggs has just tripped over a cat. Oh, better send an alert, let everybody know. It's just another bit of fear-mongering. It's to raise the tension. Everybody needs to have the tension raised. Because now, at the end of the day, we saw that democracy ended on the 17th of March when Andrew Bridgen stood up and nobody paid any attention to it. And we realised once and for all that there it is. Democracy has ended as far as the government is concerned. Well, you know, I just think, well, sod the government, really. If they can't be bothered to actually look after us, I'm not going to actually listen to their alert messages, because why should I? I don't need to be told all these pack of lies, more packs of lies, more fear-mongering, more load of old nonsense. And the thing is, if you see anybody who's going, oh my, where is it? Where is it? Are they coming out of the ground? Are they coming down from the sky? Are they just going to materialise out of space? I mean, if you see somebody who's panicking on the 23rd of April when they do the test message, St. George's Day, yes, it would be, patron saint of England on St. George's Day. You can see how they planned this. What day should we do it? Oh, I don't know. What about St. George's Day? We've got such disrespect for our country. Let's do it on that day. Yeah, good idea. So if you see anybody panicking like that, just put an arm round them and tell them it's just a load of old rubbish. Show them how to turn the emergency alert off. Nobody needs this sort of nonsense. It's all a bit of a game they're playing, trying to keep us scared, trying to keep us all like this, jittery. We don't need it. We've had the pandemic. That was jittery enough, wasn't it? All the lies that were told. We don't need any of this. In fact, the best thing that we can do is just turn round and laugh at them. Send a message back going, yeah, really? What, that? Yeah. Even though they may do some nefarious things like shooting down real aeroplanes, which is, of course, extremely, extremely serious. And it does sort of put the wind up anybody if you happen to be going on a flight and a drone goes past, of course. But we can't let them scare us. That's the thing they want. And it's not going to be good for our health. So I just say, laugh at the buggers and get on with one's life. We've got to make them absolutely irrelevant and not control us, because that's what they want. They just want to be able to keep going, oh, blimey, they're just ignoring everything we do. Well, quite right. Pull your socks up, put your tie straight, go and do a proper job, stop scaring us every 2 minutes and stop being under the control of you-know-who. And then perhaps we will give you a bit more respect. At least that's my opinion. You might have a completely different one and you'll be entitled to it. And I would love to hear about it in the comments. In the meantime, have a good laugh and have a good day.